Welcome to the Musician's Cut. This is the first episode of the interview series I'm going to be starting on the channel. This series will cover specific albums and will give the musician's perspective on the album and its tracks. Kind of like a director's commentary on a Blu-ray or something like that. Today, we have Vale Smith, aka Buffalo Staple, Buffy the Vampire Stapler, on the line. Val, could you introduce yourself?
Oh, I can. Thank you. You already gave a great introduction right there. But yeah, I'm Vale Smith, also known as Buffalo Staple. When it comes to Vale Smith, you're going to get electronic music produced by myself. Buffalo Staple, you're going to get YouTube videos produced by myself. And I'm a big music enthusiast, and I love to make instrumentals sometimes. And I put them out in the form of albums and songs that you can hear as Vale Smith on whatever streaming service you have. And I love it. It's fun, and I'm really happy to be here because this man is a talented geezer right here. Love this dude's videos, and I'm honored to have been on the channel.
Thank you.
Had a great video essay all about my catalog. It was really, really cool to watch. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this interview pans out. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like that was less of an introduction and more of gushing over my content.
Of course, man. You got to show the love, bro. Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess like I'll let the rest, if any of that sounds interesting to those watching who maybe don't know who I am, but I'll let you fill in the gaps, man. Just take it all in however you want. Yeah.
Just check out my video about him. And check out his music, but do that last, right? First, check out my video.
Yeah, honestly, I do love the idea of people.
No, I agree.
Yeah. No, I'm not even kidding though. That would be a sick way for people to come across me because the video was so dope.
That's cool.
That's cool. Man, I'm not against that at all.
Before we dig into the tracks of Coruscate, what was the idea and intention behind the album, and how do you want people to feel listening to it?
Oh yeah, okay, great question. There's a lot of answers I could give for that. I feel like it's one of those like seemingly simple but low-key kind of layered questions. Because like when I approach music, man, like I feel like by default I'm just like, let's just have some fun, make some shit that just sounds nice to me. And I feel like with every previous album I did, I wanted to like prove something or make something like specific. Like there was like an idea, like I wanted Icy Could Be Unlucky to sound really like confident and always darting and this and that. And I specifically tried to like do that, but with Coruscate, I literally, every single track I made for it, I was just like, what do I feel like hearing right now? Full stop. Like, I'm not going to think about, I want to impress anyone, or like, I want to prove this or that. I just wanted to make exactly what my ears wanted to hear in this moment, whatever melodies, whatever that. And I just channeled that 100%. Let me just enjoy this. Let me just enjoy the fact that I've got a blank canvas in front of me, and I want people to hear it and just have that like just kind of anything is possible kind of feeling that I was getting making the music, where it's just like it was just like my little dreamland. That's kind of what I wanted it to feel like. And I've got elements of different styles of music that I was maybe listening to at the time. You can hear little bits of drum and bass on a few tracks, a little bit of like techno kind of stuff, and then you got songs that are more kind of like melodic, like Revealing Light, for example. And there's like a bit more variety going on, and I think I kind of like tapped into different subgenres of electronic music subtly, but also still made it sound like uniquely me, or at least I tried to, so it doesn't sound too, different from the earlier stuff. So if people like the earlier stuff, they can still hear Coruscate and feel like, oh yeah, this is more of what I liked about that. But yeah, I guess just sort of like I wanted to feel freeing, just like
cool.
All restrictions are off kind of thing.
You've actually answered a couple of my questions already in that introduction.
Oh yeah. You know what, man? I've noticed this about myself. I'm a natural rambler. So that could happen.
I imagine there's a lot of artists that would just say one sentence and then be done with it. But I love it that you're taking the extra effort. It's great. All right. Thank you for that overview of Coruscate. Let's get into the tracks now. So we've talked quite a bit about sequencing when you were still in the production stage of the album. We DM'd on Instagram a lot about sequencing. Ceramic Skies feels like it was truly destined to be an opening track. Was there a deliberate choice behind this? Any feeling you wanted people to get when starting the album?
Yeah, yo, man, I'm really glad you asked this, man, because, bro, I don't know what it was, but Coruscate was impossible to fucking sequence for me. I don't know what it was, like, I kept redoing it, and I am like that, like, I'll say a thing is done, and then I'll go back and make a beat, and I'm like, shit, I kind of want that on the album now, and I already said it was done, I told myself it was done, but I gotta change it now, like, I always, like, do last minute changes, but Coruscate, bro, I had a hard time figuring out where to place everything. Ceramic Skies was not necessarily destined to be an opener. I wouldn't say it ended up just because I had Think Lavender as the opening song for so long. Like that was the first track because I just thought that song made me feel really nice. It was very just warm, inviting track is how I kind of perceived it. And it was locked in as the first song for ages that I didn't even consider the possibility of there being another opener. You know, and then when I made Ceramic Skies, I was like, this is cool. Maybe I'll, you know, figure out how I'll figure out where to place that later. And I just kind of tried it as the first song one day, and I was like, wait, this feels better. This just feels like it makes more sense. And when that, and then that just kind of stuck. It just stuck. I was like, this feels like it just like it bursts things on really quickly. It's attention grabbing and like it's catchy. I was like, you know what, this feels like this works. It's quick too, ain't too long. It comes in and out, and like I feel like it works, you know, as a first track. But yeah, I don't know why this was such a pain to sequence. Like I honestly, damn near every song was in a different place. Like I remember at one point, Revealing Light was track 2. Know Me was way at the end. I had a whole crazy journey trying to piece together where I feel like I got like when I landed on what it currently is though, I was like, okay, this is what I was trying to fucking find the whole time. And yeah, it was a real journey. There's a whole lot of like versions.
Yeah, to me, Ceramic Skies felt like the true opener. Because like it felt like it was kind of building up towards a grand reveal, and it felt like opening a door towards the world of Coruscate. At least that's how I saw it.
Bruh, yeah, no, that exactly. No, I think that's what I heard in it as well, man. That's a really good way you put it. It felt like maybe it was giving you loads of different sides of different styles. Like it was kind of fast, you know. It kind of switches up a little bit later on with the melody. And it has like a 4 on the floor kind of like, you know, there's a lot of different things happening, but I feel like it manages to, at least to me, kind of package it all up in a very like, you know, easily edible snack, you know, but also give you different, you know, it throws a lot at you, but yeah, packages it neatly. And I think that it introduces you to Coruscate. It's like, okay, you're about to experience like a bunch of different styles. Like, you know, I feel like I did like tap into like Setting Sun. I've never made a song like that before. Everything is as well as another track where I kind of toyed around, and I feel like Ceramic Skies prepares you for that a little bit, but you know, gives you a pretty well digestible song at the same time.
That was a great answer. Thank you.
That makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
I noticed quite a bit of techno influences, especially in the vocal chopping on the outro of Know Me. Is this a style of music you would like to try in the future? More of? Like more techno type stuff?
Fuck yes. You are going to be here. Bro, no. I'm not even kidding, man. I'm not even kidding, bro. My next project has got so much of that. That's funny you said that. I kind of like... I remember when I made Tame Your Wild Garden, it was a point. This was another example of me trying to do a specific thing and like sticking to that I was mentioning earlier. Tame Your Wild Garden, I was like, okay, no vocal samples on this one. We went crazy on the vocal samples for Origami. Let's have none on this one and focus more on sound design and synths and like, you know, chords and stuff. And that's kind of where my head was at with that one. And I've kind of always like, because I was worried that like, because Origami had so much like distorted, like harsh kind of like rapid fire vocal samples going on. I didn't want to like just keep doing that same idea. I've always kind of wanted to like, because I feel like vocal samples in like electronic beats, if you do it too much, it can sound, I guess, maybe a bit samey sometimes. I was worried about maybe that being the case for me, but with each project, I've tried to find a way to like make it feel new because I love doing it. I really enjoy fucking with vocal samples. And I guess it did pop up a lot on Coruscate, and I think it's because I have a natural just liking towards that. And yeah, that happens a lot. You're right, in a lot of electronic music, techno, everything house, and yeah, that's gonna continue. I've embraced my love for it 100%, and I think it's dope.
Cool. Yeah, my brother is like a techno head. He loves it. That's like a major part of his music taste.
Oh,
and
lovely.
I showed him
That's
your
beautiful.
usual stuff, and he was like
Okay.
lukewarm on it because it's weird, right? But the techno-ish influences really captivated him, and now he started
Okay.
listening to a couple of your songs.
Really? Oh, that's tight. You know, that's nice to know, because I've always perceived my music as kind of like niche, not niche, but like introverted, and like if you're like, you know, I imagine it's going to appeal to like the music heads who like kind of like, you know, like I'm happy to hear that like someone who's like a techno fan like would like happily label themselves like I am a techno fan and I like that type of music, can hear a song where I try and dabble a little bit in that and appreciate it as a techno song, if that makes sense. That feels good to hear, you know, because I just kind of assume most of my audience is just like people who are looking for just like kind of just weird underground electronic music, and just like I feel like my music has like an introverted feel to it with the melodies that I come up with and the drums and how I do it. I'm literally just trying to please myself 100%. I'm just making whatever the hell would make me geek out. That's it. And so it has that kind of like, I had kind of attached it to that label of introverted because of that. So to hear that someone who is a techno fan could hear one of my songs that has a bit of a techno feel and be like, yeah, this you know, this fits in my head of what I like is techno, that, and I enjoy it. That feels good to hear. So that's cool.
So you talked a bit about like your music being kind of an introverted type of thing, like you make it for yourself, and obviously, right? But
Yeah.
I've noticed with Coruscate that it's probably the
100%.
most accessible album so far. Do you think that was deliberate, or was that just something you're dabbling into now in your career?
I think, the accessibility, I agree with that. And I don't know what it was. I think it was with the Flint EP. Something just clicked in my brain when it came to production, and like, I guess like I think Coruscate is accessible because it sounds so clean. I think it has like a cleanliness to it, like the way the mixes, and I feel like it's not as like jagged as my earlier stuff. I think that definitely adds to the accessibility. And I swear, I think it was around the Flint EP. Every beat I was making, I was like, I feel like I'm really starting to get it when it comes to like mixing, mastering, making it sound like more pristine. I've always struggled with that. Like I've always like thought my music, like when like my earlier stuff before that, whether it's Ice, It Could Be an Unlucky, Origami, like I wanted the mix to pop in a certain way that I couldn't quite seem to, I hadn't like cracked that yet. And I think Coruscate is the first release where I kind of feel like I got there, like the way where I wanted it to be. And I think the accessibility does come down to just the sound choices, the way it mixed, the way all the elements sit on top of each other. It's accessible more compared to the other stuff, because it feels more, I guess, like balanced, clean, and I think that's kind of where that is.
And next up we have Hang Tight, and my question was, the transition between Know Me and Hang Tight feels super smooth and deliberate. Were those two songs destined to be next to each other during production, or was that a later decision?
Ooh. I think kind of both. It was a later decision, but honestly, they were destined, man. At the same time, it wasn't like a preconceived thing, but it worked so good. I had to do it. Like yeah, like I fucking love having one thing I love about my albums that I just really enjoy is how it feels like just almost like a DJ set in how like the tracks move together. Like I think that feels great, and I love it when albums in general do that, where like the song will just hard stop to the next and it's just always moving. Like I love that. I think that sounds so exciting, and I love how my albums do that, and I always try to maintain that element. So what happens is, quite naturally, I will, when I'm working on a track just by itself, I will try and end it on a note to where something could fill in the next gap. Like, you know, and Hang Tight just happened to be the one that filled in that gap, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't like I wasn't making Know Me thinking like, okay, and the next song is going to be Hang Tight and it's going to sound like that. Like I wasn't really doing that. But when it finished, I was like, I want to leave room for like the next song to burst on in a satisfying way. And I had like other songs there as well, but yeah, Hang Tight just ended up being the one that just felt right. Like when I put it there, I was like, that's the one that was supposed to come after that. And I didn't realize that at the time, but I always like finish a song and I was like, let me end this on a note to where like it can lead into something new, and then I'll fill in that gap later. Basically, that's kind of how I do it, because I always want it to feel moving, and so I just naturally just end my songs that way and start them that way too, so it can flow.
Next, we're going to talk about a passage. I mentioned in my recent video about your stuff that a passage feels like passing through a tunnel, especially in the way that the song builds and structurally revealed more details. Did you envision this track being like this, when you first started working on it?
Kinda, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, I feel like the way you word things is so unique, so I can't say I thought exactly that. And but I feel like the general same kind of sentiment you're saying is where my head was at. Like when I was making it, it felt like just like I called it a passage because it felt like just a small blip of just guidance, like someone's like bringing you somewhere, and it's just like this little exotic thing, like a little detour. And so I just called it like here's a little passage, something just kind of had like a friendly sort of nature to it. And like I like its placement, just like a little moment where it's like the focus is really on the melodies, and just like I wanted to make a little nugget of music that just tickles your brain in little ways, I guess. And that's kind of the idea I had there. And yeah, I just called it a passage because it just kind of sounds like you're just being taken somewhere for a bit, and that's sort of all the thinking was really. But, yeah, it's a nice moment on the album, I think.
Looper features a lot of sample work from The Binding of Isaac. Are there any other hidden-ish samples from media that you've used in this album?
Yeah, is there though? You know, I feel like I can't even remember. You know, that's the annoying thing. There might be, but they're really hidden, so I can't even think off the top. Probably, man. But that one was a specific one because I was playing a lot of Isaac at the time, and I just loved the sound that you get when you get a pill, and it's a good pill, like the Luck Upgrade. The original name of that song was Luck Up because like that's the sound. Yeah, that was the original name, but I called it Looper because the song loops back on itself perfectly. I was just listening to that song a lot on its own. If you literally press like the loop thing on Spotify, you'll notice that song just loops back on itself perfectly. So that's why I called it that. And also because The Binding of Isaac is a game I was playing on loop. It's a game like a roguelike, you loop it. So it was like I'm just gonna call it a Looper. There was a lot of reasons for the name change, really. But yeah, I will have to get back to you on that, bro. I feel like there probably is something, but right now it's not clicking. Yeah, I guess I cycle through a lot of different sound effects. My computer organization skills aren't really too hot, so there's probably something chilling somewhere. yeah, my shit's a mess, bro. Oh no, man. But it is. Yeah. I'm glad that I kind of like the idea of my music giving that vibe.
Yeah, you definitely give like hoarder vibes. I feel like when I listened to your music, I didn't know who you were, so I thought like
really
you would just live in your office and it would just be full of beer cans and LSD and all this bullshit. That's what I didn't even watch your videos before. I first checked out your music because of Rick, right? Because of Rick the Lie. So that was my perception.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Yeah. Wow, that's fucking great. That's so funny, dude. Because I feel like most people, or maybe not most, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of people, obviously, they were on the YouTube first. So, you know, like, that's interesting. Yeah. That's like the first impression. There's a different one that I've heard from. I love it though.
So not specifically about media then, but we've talked a bit in the past about custom sampling, where you record it yourself. There's a lot more of it on this album. Do you care to indulge on that? Like, what did you do?
Hummingbird has the most of that, for sure. I did a lot of that on Hummingbird. I went out to this shed I have in the back that I used to have as like a DIY studio, which is where I made all of Isaac of Being Unlucky. But now it's just like a shed that's just storage. And it's like a really metallic shed. It's not even really a shed. It's like made mostly of just metal. And when you close the door, it makes this giant scraping like noise, and I was recording that and fucking with that a lot. And Hummingbird has got a lot of like wild little sounds in the back, and I kind of pulled that from that recording. But I also have a Kalimba. I have a Kalimba in my box just there that I got for my birthday, and I use that on.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, on a Hummingbird. The little what's it? That was from the Kalimba, and I just thought I'd get like an original sound bite, to use. And I just did that a lot. Just like if I wanted a drum, I would literally just whack something. I was just, let me just like, let me just get like some original, just some new sounds, because I was just kind of exhausting my usual kits and stuff. So I was just like, let me just whack a thing. Like, it would just be something in my area. I would just like use that as a drum and like maybe add that to a snare to give it a bit more of a unique texture or something. Like I remember I did that on Ace Ransom, you know, and the second part of Ace Ransom, when like the new beat comes in and the snare is like like I added like a fucking, I don't know, I just like slammed a radiator and like just stretched it out or something. I don't know. Like, I just thought it'd be cool to get some unique drums, because yeah, I feel like I love the idea of like hearing a drum and it's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Like, that's like a, you know, it doesn't sound like something you just got on like some Lex Luger kit, or, you know, just some basic snare that you hear like quite often. I love like a unique snare, a unique little textured kick or something. Like,
Revealing Light gave me and others that I've seen in reviews the feeling of nostalgia about sudden sheens of light. Could you talk a bit about the significance of specific feelings that you were trying to display on this track?
Okay, yeah, can do, man. I remember actually Revealing Light was a comeback from a writer's block sort of situation where I was like, I wasn't really enjoying the stuff I was making for a few months. And Revealing Light, I got a shout out, my guy Porter Robinson, you know, he definitely inspired that song a great deal, you know, just like that. I called it Revealing Light because, well, it was originally called Swords of Revealing Light in reference to the Yu-Gi-Oh card, because I like to have Yu-Gi-Oh references on my song titles, if you've not noticed, from previous tracks like Graceful Charity, Ukazi. Like, yeah, I like the idea of having like I want that to be like a thing that I do. I just think they sound fucking dope. There's so many well-titled Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I thought Swords of Revealing Light was too chunky, so I just shortened it to Revealing Light. And I also think the song sounds like an awakening or something, like a realization, and that's kind of what that song was. It was me realizing like I was thinking too much, trying too hard, and I wanted to make something that feels like just being grounded again, back down, just like, and just appreciating your surroundings and being grateful. And those are the kind of feelings that went into Revealing Light, and I think the song kind of speaks to that. And yeah, I got a shout out again, Nurture's release. It was around then when I made that song, and I think I was just struggling with the music I was making at the time. And that album just makes me feel like that same thing you were saying, like nostalgic, you know, it makes me think of when I was younger, and yeah, like, you know, it allowed me to tap into just sort of the roots of why I love this shit. And I think Revealing Light was a song where I was able to put that into a track and like, you know, just package that into a song and be like, this is like the expression of that, you know, that's accurate. And yeah, that's kind of all the feelings that went into it pretty much.
Yeah, since dynamic beat work can be quite the task creatively, how do you get over writer's block?
Yeah, man. I think for me, like, there comes a point where writer's block happens because for me at least, I can only speak for myself, but when making a song feels like a huge thing, feels like a task, like a whole mission, and it goes away when I simplify it. And how I get to that point is inconsistent. It's hard to say like what the process is to get back there, but I'm making the best music, that my favorite music, when the idea of working on a beat feels like the easiest thing. When it feels easy and simple, when I just break it down like into a simple thing in my head, then I'm able to just have fun. I can freely do it. When I like try to do a specific, it always comes back to that, man. Like, I really just feel like you really got to enjoy yourself. That's like the number one key to getting out of a writer's block, is just have fun and just like don't think about doing nothing else but enjoying yourself. Like, that's the only thing. Like when I'm loading it up, like I'll just think like, what sounds fun right now? I don't know. Let's just have some fun on some chords. Just like, let's just perform some chords and just enjoy that. And then I'll maybe just bring them into the song. You know, I just enjoyed hearing it just then. Like, you know, that's where my head's at. Or maybe I'll want to just twist some nods on a sampler, or like just like fuck around, like stretch it out, like maybe get some drums and chop it up, like just whatever feels fun in the moment. That's when I get out of a writer's block, is when I just start embracing just what feels right. When I like work on a track, it's like, okay, I got to work on a track. I told myself I was going to do that today. I need to finish a song, and it's just like a whole mission. And that's when I think that's where my head was at. I was like, I wasn't feeling like naturally compelled. And so I think, and usually it's something like an album that I'll be loving at the moment, or maybe a movie I saw, or like, I don't know, just like a place I'm enjoying going to, or just a person I'm enjoying speaking to. That's just reminding me of how much I enjoy this shit. Or like something about it might just like bring me back to how much I love to just, you know, just soak in my own little hobby, make some beats and just like be in my own little world. And like, it could be anything really. And I think for Revealing Light, I honestly think it was Nurture. And in that particular example, maybe it's a video game I'm playing, something will just bring me back to how much I love it. And then when that happens, making a track, it's a simple, easy thing that I'm just enjoying. And then when that happens, the writer's block is gone. I'm making great music again. I'm just having fun. But yeah, it comes when it feels like a mission and leaves when it feels like an escape, pretty much.
So you talked a bit about like the experiences that you have and how that impacts your mood, but also like how you create music. Do you think specific experiences like sheens of light or passing through tunnels and the feeling you get during those experiences have impact on your music? I think so. Like, and it's crazy because I feel like at least for me, I don't even notice it when I'm making the song. Like, I might be going through a little something and I won't even really realize it. And then I'll look back on the song and where I was when I made it. I'm like, oh, that's why the song sounds like that. You know, it's crazy when that happens, man. Like, I remember during the creation of Coruscate, I wasn't living at this house. I'd moved out. I was with my ex and we were living together. And we had like it was a whole different situation, a whole different routine I had. And there was a whole thing going on. And like, you know, we were going on holidays, going out, thinking about different life decisions. And there was a lot happening. A lot of things that would sort of like cloud your emotions and your thoughts. And I think some of that definitely seeped into some of the tracks subconsciously, and how they affected them. It's just kind of like Voracity In The Warehouse. Like, that song, I literally started it. I remember it was like 4 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. I think I was just like, my thoughts were just racing because of just how much was happening at the time, you know? Like, there was a lot of things to worry about with like jobs and just like housing stuff and just like life and, you know, family relationships. There was just a lot was happening. I couldn't sleep, and it was 4 a.m. I was like, I need to get to sleep, but I couldn't. So I was just like, I'm gonna just make a fucking beat. And I just made, within 30 minutes, the first section of Voracity In The Warehouse. And I went to sleep after, like, it was like 30, 45 minutes. I went to sleep after I'd made that first section. I was just like, I got something here. This is something special. I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm gonna wake up and finish this tomorrow. And I was like, I think that's why that song ended up sounding so kind of chaotic, is because in that time where I was, there was just a lot of shit happening, and I just came out in the song. So yeah, I think the real life experiences that you happen to go through does influence my music, but I don't even notice it in the moment. I don't like use it as fuel or anything. It just comes out. Cool. And it's crazy. I love that though. But it's wild, yeah. So the feeling I get when I listen to Give Your Best is it's very potent and vibrant. How do you go about shaping the atmospheres in your beats?
Nice. How do I go about? Let me think about that. If I want to get atmosphere on my beat, how do I go about that? Yeah, okay, I guess I'll, with Give Your Best, I remember that song took me a while to make as well. I'm trying to think what the whole process was there. That was a long process. It was like a few weeks. Yeah, I mean, normally when I guess I'll think of, I don't know how, that's a tricky question, you know, I don't even know the answer. I feel like I don't even know the answer to that. It's one of those things that happens like so subconsciously, like the atmosphere of a beat. It just kind of builds itself almost. Like, I feel like that happens a lot when I'm making beats. Like, I'll be in a zone where I'm not even like really conscious of what I'm doing. I'm just like trying shit and I'm just enjoying it. But in most cases, I think what will happen is I will just kind of make whatever's coming naturally, and I'll lock in after maybe a few like minutes or maybe an hour of working on it, on what the feel of this track is and what the tone is, and I'll just like really listen to the same loops, just like, what is the tone, what is like the feel of this track, like what is it bringing out of me. I'll latch onto that and reinforce it with every continuous decision I make going forward. So every section every progression it makes, every drum I add, every sample I use, I'm now trying to have to like build on what I was getting from that first, you know what I mean? So I think that's what happened with Give Your Best, is like I had that little like those little vocal bits in the back and just like the swirling samples. It was just giving me this kind of mysterious kind of feel. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have everything sort of add to that, and like have the drums come and have them sort of like swerve around in weird ways, and just sort of like I wanted it all to just sort of build on it. So and then just reach until it reaches a point where it's a complete song, I guess. And I remember Give Your Best was a task as well. Like, it took me a while to come to that point, but yeah, it's one of those questions that yeah, I guess I can never really fully know for real because the process is just it's so subconscious, I guess, for me. But that's the best way I could probably word it.
All right. To me, everything is just a flex of pure freedom. Was this album in a way freeing for you?
Oh, 100%, dude. Yeah, this was the first. Finishing this album, I can't even tell you how good it felt. Like, I literally remember looking at the track list and just thinking, like, this is what I've been trying to do the whole time I've been doing this. Like, I feel like this was the album I didn't realize was in my head that I was just desperately trying to bring out of my head. Like, it's just really how it felt. And I think you're right. That was one of the moments where I really started to feel that. Like, I felt like it was happening, like it was all coming together, and like this was the most like just satisfied I'd ever felt with the body of work. Like I could just tell, like, yo, if I traveled back in time, gave this album to my 13-year-old self, 14-year-old self, like they would just be like, holy shit, like what the fuck, like this is like I grow into making this, like I just felt that, you know, like. And yeah, I would say it was very freeing, and everything felt freeing to make too. Like that was me in like a good ass fucking mood. That song was just me like just enjoying it, relishing in it, like that. I wanted that song to feel positive as fuck, and yeah, I'm glad you pulled that from.
And the outro, you talked about it, the positive atmosphere, but the outro of everything is wonderfully, almost twisted. Can you talk a bit about that? Like, was it always the idea to end it like that?
Oh no, it wasn't. You know, actually, everything originally was just the first bit. Originally, it was just the first couple minutes, and that was the song. But then I was realizing, like, it's leading into a section of the album that's maybe not as freeing. You know, like Voracity comes after, doesn't it? So like that song. You know, I think originally I had it coming up against Hummingbird actually, but there was a section of the album that the tone was shifting. So I actually made the second bit individually later on to sort of help improve the flow and just deepen the listener into the record pretty much. Like the song was originally just the first 2 minutes, but I was like, you know what, this could be a good opportunity for a segue moment, and since that song was the most like potently vibrant I had done up until that point, having that be the song that, like, you know, sort of pushes things down into the like sort of like the depths a little bit, I thought would have been powerful, because that was the one that was the most positive feeling. So for that song going into that, I thought was the most effective. Like I could have done it with other songs, but that one felt like the right one.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have one particular, very specific question. Are those tennis samples as percussion on the intro of Voracity In The Warehouse?
Tennis samples? They're not tennis samples. But I hear that, and that's tight. They do sound like, holy shit, they do sound like, that's dope that they sound like that. How the fuck? That's actually one of those tracks. Like I said, I made that like at 4 a.m. when I was just in a certain zone. I couldn't sleep. That just came out of me. I remember thinking the next day, I was like, how the fuck did I do that? I was like, what the fuck? It sounds so like, because I know what you mean. It sounds quite like, it really pings off, you know, the headphones. Like, I was like, shit. Sometimes I feel like my tracks are just like proper lightning in a bottle. Like, shit, man. I feel like I couldn't do that again, you know, if I tried to. But yeah, no, they're not tennis samples, unfortunately. But you know what? That's giving me some ideas now. You said that.
Cool.
So
make sure to include the grunts, the tennis grunts.
Oh yeah, of course, bro. You know I would do that. Vocal samples are my shit, man. Come on, man.
All right. Well, Voracity In The Warehouse is quite a style switch for you, in my opinion. Kind of emulating the structure and execution of a dance tune with a drop and stuff. Is this something you'd like to pursue in the future? You've talked about techno. Is also dance type of techno kind of in your vicinity?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm going to be releasing music quite soon, actually, and you'll hear in that music that dance, the club sort of setting has been really inspiring to me lately, and I definitely feel like that's where my head's at the moment. I want to introduce more like just groovy, bouncy sort of dancey rhythms into my music, and I think Coruscate was the first record where I really embraced that was an interest of mine and sort of had that sprinkled throughout. Voracity being an example, you're right, for sure. Yeah, no, I definitely do. I think you'll see that pretty soon. But the future of Vale Smith is looking quite groovy.
You mentioned Porter Robinson before in this interview. To me, think Lavender takes inspiration from Porter Robinson's Nurture. Can you talk a bit about other artists that inspire you?
Yeah, okay. I can, of course. Aphex Twin, man, always, but definitely Coruscate the most. But he's always been a huge inspiration to me, just like when you hear his music, it feels like something only he could think of. And there's something freeing about how that feels. I wanted to sort of like, let me make something that only could come from my head and just like really just channel just what can I bring. And that was definitely a huge motivating force making Coruscate. Yeah, Paul Robinson, of course. I'm trying to think if there's any like in particular that Clams Casino inspired quite a lot of moments on it, actually. Just like how vivid and like powerful his ability to sample a track and just bring it into just a whole other world of just like, it's just so moving. Like I feel like he pulls so much out of his sample choices, and I wanted to do that. And I think moments like the ending of Everything definitely were inspired by that. And trying to think of anyone else, like, because there are a lot of artists that always do inspire me, like that I could list, like, Igloo Go, Sam Gallatry, they always inspire me. And but I'm trying to think if there's any in particular like specific moments that like that was an inspiration from so and so, you know what I mean? Nothing's really coming to me, unfortunately, at the minute. I feel like Nomi was inspired by something. I think Nomi, that was inspired by a specific thing, but I can't remember what it was. Fuck. The Human Brain, right? Yeah, so I'll leave it there for now, but I could always like update you, I guess.
In previous questions, I've asked you about techno music and dance music being new inspirations. What are some other genres you'd like to tap into? When are we going to hear Bossa Nova Vale Smith?
We're going full ska, baby. Don't you worry. What genres? I would love to learn how to play guitar, for sure. I would love to incorporate guitar because I think that sounds really, really wonderful alongside glitchy production. And I would love to try my hand at that. I would love to do more like just minimal ambient kind of stuff. I want to keep drums in my music. I love like building a groove and a drum rhythm, you know. And there are some artists, actually, you know what, another right now just came to my head. Corliss really inspired me with some of the melodies on Coruscate, because I think it's so impressive how he makes music with basically no drums. It's fully just like sound pressure and texture and melody, and it feels so massive. I'm really jealous that he's able to do that. But I love drums a lot, so I don't think I would want to lose that. But I would love to have like songs that feel just overwhelming and huge, strictly just off of like the power of the individual like synths and just like the lead melodies. I want them to feel encompassing in the same way like an ambient song, kind of like what that would do for you. So that's something I want to build my skills on for sure. At the moment, those are. Oh, and also I want to make music that's like fucking full on structureless as well, like on some One Tricks Point Never Gardener Delete shit. Like I would love to sort of like tap into just more formless, just like experimental. Like I want to try my hand at making something that's just like really like a sensory overload and see if I can really maybe build something powerful out of that. But I feel like I'm so naturally like beat driven, you know, so it's hard for me to break out of that. Like I'll always naturally, even when I'm just literally like, I'll just be on a walk listening to like birds tweeting, I'll be hearing like an 808 rhythm or something. Like I'll be trying, you know what I mean? Like I'll be listening to the train just like rumbling, and I'll try and find like hi-hats in my head of how that could work. Like I'm naturally always finding like little ways to make a beat out of something. So it's gonna be hard for me to break out of that, but one day I would love to make an album that's just like full on fucking sound collage insanity. But it's gonna take a minute before I get there. But that's definitely something I'm interested in.
You mentioned like random noises in your head, kind of making beats. That reminds me of myself because last year I was listening a lot to clipping, and I just heard random beeps of like my refrigerator or trains passing by or whatever, and I was just like, oh yes, this is. I can see David Diggs rapping over this.
Oh my god, man, that's so true. Like on that song with the alarm clock, and you could just hear literally the clipping are fucking insane. Like you could listen to the sound of someone opening a pizza box up and down. and be like, yo, David would fucking spaz on this shit, like, you know, like how the fuck are they at that point? That's insane. Like, that's so true, man. I think honestly, over the time of me just listening to music and hearing different approaches and unique creative styles, and also making my own tracks, there's always a song in my head, whether it's a song I'm just listening to at the minute or just a song I'm trying to figure out how to make. Literally, like, I'll be at work, I'll just always try and find a way to make, like, whatever I'm around me into a song idea, because you never know, it could end up being something that will carry with you into the next time you open up Logic Pro and I'm having a whack at a beat, and it might just, like, influence it in some way. So yeah, no, I agree, I'm with you. Yeah, clipping, good reference point. You know, I feel like they definitely pushed the envelope in turning mundane everyday sounds into beats. For sure.
Next, we're going to talk about Tethered To Us. So Tethered To Us released as the lead single in November 2021. Can you elaborate on the creation of this song and how you wanted people to shape their expectations?
Yeah, so Tethered To Us was by miles the quickest song I made. It literally made the whole thing in like 40 minutes. I don't know what happened, but something just came over me one day. I just sat down in 40 minutes and made that entire song, start to finish, the way you hear it now. Was done in 40 minutes. I don't know where it came from. I just I think that was where I realized, I think it was that day I realized I want to make some shit that you could fucking dance to, like real shit. I want something you could like groove the hell out to, that clubs could play, that could like, that's really catchy, you know. And I think maybe I was pretty listening to, you know, maybe Fortet as well. Actually, I shot a shout out Fortet. Fortet, the way he can make such weird little vocal bits and makes it sound so catchy and rhythmic. I think that was also an inspiration. So I'm glad you brought this up, because that has reminded me of that. I was listening to a Fortet a lot at this time, and I was like, I need a Vale Smith song that's gonna be catchy, and it's gonna like it's replayable, and it's just like just grooving, just really alive. And I remember I think it was my ex who I was living with at the time. She put on some TV. I think it was like she would put on New Girl or something. And I was just like, yo, okay, cool. I just feel like making a beat right now. I'm just gonna like make a beat. And I just like literally posted up like in front of the couch, just got a little footstool, put my laptop down, and was like, let's have some fun, bro. Let's just have something catchy. And I just like 40 minutes later, bam, Tethered To Us was there. And it was just non-stop. My brain was just on like fucking hyper mode. I was just non-stop going at it. And I would just never forget like how it felt in that moment. By the end, I was just like, wow, what the hell just came over me? And it just right away, like when it was done, I was like, this has got to be the lead single. This has got to be the one. This is catchy. It's striking. It's different from what I normally do, and it feels like a really cool introduction to this phase of, you know, of Vale Smith. So there you go, man. That's it. And it was. I remember just going to sleep, like I was just looking up, like, wow, like that was crazy. Yeah, it was a sick moment for sure. Yeah.
Setting Sun being such a cathartic track and being called Setting Sun, was this choice in sequencing it at the tail end of the album deliberate?
That came later. Oh. It was actually at one point the first song. Hilariously, yeah, it was at one point the first track on the record. The original title for the album was Far Away Avian, because I like the word avian, and I kept going on walks, and the sun was setting a lot, and I was just seeing just birds, and I was just enjoying nature, and that was just something I would just look at. I would always just follow where birds would go, and that was just like a thing it was in my head. That was the original title for the album. And Setting Sun was a track I made just to introduce people to that idea and just like soundtrack how that would make me feel, pretty much. It would just feel like this big adventure, like in my head when I was going on a walk. I love going on walks during sunset. It's like one of my favorite things to do, and because ideas always come to me at that time. It's like a good little reset, and that song would sort of came out of me thinking about how those walks would make me feel, pretty much. I found like a really cool area locally at that time that I would just keep going to, because it just made me feel really nice. The view was always really good, and yeah, I wanted that song to just feel like a big, just exciting journey full of like cool prospects and just like one realization after another, just like a bunch of uplifting feelings that I was getting basically from these walks. And that's sort of where the approach was. But that was the original opening song, because that whole train of thought was at one point like the goal for the record, kind of. So I was like, I'm gonna make this the first song. But then I kind of saw it in a different way later on, as more tracks kind of came into the fold, and as my mindset sort of slowly shifted over time. it kind of made more sense at the end, you know, as sort of like a nice, warm, sort of reflective moment. And
Cool.
yeah, that's kind of where things
Thank you.
moved
That's a
from
great
there.
answer. The definition of Underthoughts is a suppressed or concealed thought. How does this title reflect the feeling that you're trying to give the listener? Hard question.
Well, hilariously, I didn't even think it was a real word. I just, I just thought, what's the opposite of overthinking? Like underthinking, I guess. And that was me sort of riding the high of making Tethered To Us, making everything as well, and Voracity. I remember those 3 songs, they were made in pretty quick succession. And I was like, I'm gonna just keep riding this fucking high. Like, I'm just not even gonna think about it, and I'm just gonna just keep going, just make another track, bam, just do it. And Underthoughts just came out, and that was just a good product of me just not worrying about shit. And that's pretty funny that it means that you're burying your thoughts. I didn't realize that. It's kind of the opposite.
You're changing the definition.
but fuck yeah, I am, man. We're changing how you pronounce Coruscate, and we're changing the definition of Underthoughts. This hashtag the Vale Smith move. Yeah, but yeah, no, that song is me in my sort of freeing sort of state of mind, I guess. I wanted the melodies just to feel really happy and sunny, and yeah, man, like I wanted that song again to just be something replayable, 4x4 sort of drums in the second half, you know, just something bouncy, rhythmic, and yeah, man, that was just me in my happiness bag, I guess.
How do you go about naming your tracks? Does the music come first or the title and the mood?
Oh yeah, you know, I feel like there have been some cases where like the title came first, actually. Funnily enough, like I'll just think that'd be a cool name for a song, and I'll just go from there. That's happened before. I'm not sure if I can think of when that's happened. Ace Ransom was that. Ace Ransom. I was like, ransom is like this, like what, like this cruel fraud kind of thing where like we're holding you for ransom, like it's like this dangerous crime shit, and Ace is like stylish. And I wanted to make a song that sounded just stylish and like dangerous, and that's kind of that's sort of what happened there, kind of. Yeah, so that's an example of where the title came from. Sometimes like I'll just think of something like just a couple of words that just make me feel a certain way. I'll just ride off of how that's making me feel, and that will lead to the song. But normally it's actually the other way around. Normally I'll just like, I won't even think about the title for the song. I'll just like make a track based on however I'm feeling, or just because I want to do it, because I just want to make a song. It's how I'm feeling, so I just do it. And then I'll listen to it, and I'll just let the title and the feeling and the words just come to me. And however my brain gets there, it's different every time. But I'm not sure where. Like, I think as I was listening back to the song Everything, for example, I was just like in a very grateful mood, and I was just like, man, like anything could be the title. Like I was just thinking, like, man, I feel like this shit is making me happy. That could be the title. This shit, it's just like this song makes me feel happy and grateful. So I was just like, fuck it, this song is everything, and I just called it that. You know, however my brain gets to that point is going to be different for each song depending on the song. But normally it will come after the fact, and I'll just loop it back, and then the title will just hit me. But yeah, every now and then, though, you know, the title comes first, and that's how it works.
On Hummingbird, you picked up a physical kalimba, like an actual kalimba, to record the outro of the track. Do you think you will use this instrument in the future more?
Yes.
Since you love it so much?
Fuck yeah, dude. It's beautiful. I got it, man. It's like I loved recording that because it was just like texturally, it sat on top of the whole track so wonderfully. Like I just thought it feels like it's coming from your brain. Like as I was hearing it back, I was like, it just pings off in such a nice way. I've definitely got to use that again, and it just feels so nice and warm. And I love that song, man. I love like the string bits and just the way it just breaks apart into all these different sections. It's just such a roller coaster. And yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna be using the Kalimba again after how nicely I think that song turned out. So that's not getting forgotten, definitely.
We've hit the tail end of the album. Will you be bringing more instruments into the mix in the future?
I definitely want to, man. Yeah. I also want to bring in more people, you know, like every album I've done is entirely me, and I feel like that is restricting what could be of a Vale Smith record. So I do want to bring in more people. Like my younger brother, he's a fucking beast on the piano. I would love to bring him on to, like, I'll just blink and suddenly he's performing the most beautiful shit I've ever heard. I'm like, what the hell? I got to record this. Sometimes I'll just be on my phone, just like hitting record, like, you know. So I definitely want to bring in collaborations a bit more for future projects. It's just, I guess, like I was saying earlier, my approach and just how I view my music is very introverted. So I still got to find like a right rhythm when it comes to collaboration. But that's something.
One of my questions actually was about collaboration, and not just musicians.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like purely instrumental musicians, but also as vocalists and rappers. I think would work pretty well with your music.
Yeah, like that's another one, man. Like I hear that too, but for some reason, whenever I try and make like a beat that would be like for a hip hop song, my brain just doesn't work with my brain for some reason. Like I'll try and make that, and it won't come out how I want it to, and but I feel like I hear that potential as well, man. Like I really think I could. And it's weird. You would think it would just be easy because I listen to a lot of hip hop. So, but yeah, like for some reason when I try and make like a rap beat or like a trap beat, anything, like if I'm trying to make something for a rapper or a vocalist, like it just doesn't seem to gel as naturally. Maybe I'm just so deep and accustomed to just how I normally do things with my albums. But yeah, though I am definitely working towards that. I have got someone, a friend of mine named Nolan, who I've known for a while, and I really do want to work with him on some hip hop shit. But yeah, I want to bring in more instruments, more natural, organic, oriental sounds, and more collaborations in the future. But I guess like right now, it's an ever-growing process, honing your craft, developing what you do, and like I'm not really at the point yet where I'm not at a point that where like. You know how you get some producers where you hear them and it's like, oh, I feel like they could just fucking, if you ask them to make a soul sample type beat, they could just do it. Or if you're making them make this type, they could just do it, like, because they're just experienced and they're so good at what they do. I feel like I'm not there yet, and I want to be. And it's just like a slow process where I'm not at the point where like a rapper could be like, I want this style. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that, like, effortlessly, like, like Kenny Beats is great at that. Like, he's really good at adapting to different styles, and like that's something that I want to develop going forward. But I'm always going to be working on my own beats and just making my own projects, like all the time. But alongside that, I'm slowly just developing my ability to be versatile as an artist and producer. And yeah, so I'm hoping in the next few years we'll be seeing Vale Smith collabs pop up more often.
On the last record that Clarence Clarity made, there were 2 songs, I think, with rappers on it. That's kind of how I envision Val Smith songs with rappers. So if after this interview you're curious, you can check those out.
Yeah. Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, no, I hear that for sure.
Looking back on your previous records, how do you see them now?
This is a question I feel like the answer to this question probably changes like on a weekly basis, man. Well, I kind of fondly, I'd say overall, I look at them positively. Of course, like, you never know how to perfectly produce an album until you've finished the album, if that makes sense. Like, you only unlock all the keys until you've done it, and you look back and it's like, oh, I should have done this, should have done that, obviously. So I do listen to Origami with, gritted teeth a little bit, and same goes for I Say Could Be Unlucky, same goes for everything, like, because I can see what I clearly was missing, and I know exactly how to bring to life all the ideas I had now in like the best way possible, and I just didn't know that back then. But they were all very important stepping stones, and yeah, so mixed relationship, but overall I look at them fondly as like, just me slowly honing and developing my craft. Like, I don't really like hate any of them like that, but I can hear the gaps pretty clearly in all of them. Like, I feel like Coruscate is the first record. Maybe this comment will age badly. Maybe in a year I'll be like, Coruscate was some bullshit, man. Now we're on some other shit. I don't know. But right now it feels like Coruscate is the only album of mine where I look at the whole thing and I'm just like, you executed that very well, and like 100% like really well. And I wouldn't change much about how it turned out. Like, even like even though I do still think like I Used to Be Unlucky is a cool album. Like, I think it's, especially at the first 5 songs are like, whoa. Like, I feel like I'm looking back, I'm like, I could have changed up the flow, maybe the middle section, maybe would have taken this track out and be like, but I could have used that a little differently. Like I feel like I have like a more of a awareness of structuring an album, making it flow, and like what to do with the sounds more after making Coruscate. So I still look back on those records like thinking, oh, I wish I had done this, wish I had done that, but fact of the matter is I can't change it. I did those things, and that's fine. It was a little stepping stone. So I look back at it fondly, but you know, they definitely could have been better. And I feel like when I have those moments when I do reflect and think those things, it gets me excited about further building and motivating me for the future music. So I'm grateful for it.
So would you say that's what Coruscate represents? Like that mind space that you can visualize that into actual music completely now, or up to your standards, right?
Yeah, I think that is exactly like what Horrorskate embodies for me, really. That's what it feels like when I hear it. That's how it felt making it, and that's what I hope it does for people listening. Is I hope it's just like an audible reminder that, you know, like it's just like you know, just embrace your own, just like the things you love and your own niche little favorite things, and just like let it flourish. Coruscate, let it shine, man. And I feel like this was me comfortably doing that, and me just feeling good about it. I'm at a point where I felt like I was able to do it like exactly how I wanted to, and yeah, man, 100%. I would agree with that. That's what it embodies.
Last question now. After Coruscate, where do you view your career now, and what would you like to achieve with the next projects you're going to make?
Good question, man. Yeah, no, I have partnered with Mulcat Records as well recently, so I'm now a member of their roster. My next release will be with them, and I'm hoping to work on live sets as well. That's something that's a goal of mine, is to do more live sets, whether that's on YouTube and Twitch or just like actually physically perform. I want to build that, my ability to DJ and stuff like that, mix tracks together. That's a goal of mine. I see in a few years, I see that being like a Vale Smith show being like a thing that's like recognizable, and like, you know, that's something. And I want the next project to really reinforce that too. And I can tell you that now, my next album, I think, is much more live friendly than anything I've made previously. And that's sort of where my head's at. Right now I've been very inspired by concerts, the club setting. Like I've been to a lot of shows this year, and while I'm there I'll be having a great time, but I'm kind of studying at the same time, like what's working, what are people responding to, and you know, like I naturally, you know, and I'm bringing that home with me and having that influence my music. And I think that's sort of where my head's at, is making sure I want to work on my visuals, and just like having there be like a Vale Smith sort of world, like have there be a harmony between it all. And I want it to be like, you know, more than just the albums on Spotify and shit like that. I want to just bring it, make it bigger, and make it splash, you know. That's sort of like currently where my head's at, is like broadening the Vale Smith image, I guess, and having fun in the process at the same time. I'll tell you now as well, the next Vale Smith project is sooner than you think, and I think it's fucking dope, and I'm excited to see how people respond to it, because I'm predicting it's gonna kind of, how do I put it? What's the word I'm looking for? My next album is gonna reinforce what I want to do with the visuals and the live show, and I'm excited to see how it all gets pushed forward, going ahead, I guess. I don't know how else to put it, but yeah, there you go. That's my answer. Bit of a rambly one there, but yeah.
All right, thank you for your time, man. You've answered these questions better than I expected.
Bro,
some of these questions were
man.
pretty niche, and I like the way you answered them. It's very open, which I like a lot.
I love the way you ask them, man. I love the questions you choose, for real. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for, you know, I really want to say in general though, thank you like for singling me out as like, you know, significant enough to make all these videos about. Like, I really appreciate that. Like, it's awesome.
Cool. All right.
It means a lot.
Well, thank you.